Just enjoyed some delicious carbonara. Kind of developed my own little recipe. Modified from a couple on the web, but anyway, it's not as robust with the pork flavoring because I use turkey bacon. But I don't want to consume the kind of cholesterol that you're going to find in I forgot the name of it. Bacon and pork fat. Pancetta? I forget the name. Anyway, doing this video for people out there. I had a video about this a long time ago, but I deleted it. But I'm putting a new one up there. One of the ways that people would target people financially and health-wise as well. We lived in a complex and have lived in a complex and live in a complex. This is kind of long-term thing. People will live under us or next to us, and they'll jack up the heat. We lived in one place where people actually, and I kid you not, I actually investigated this by following the breeze coming through the floorboards. They open the floorboards in their place because we share a wall, a non-firewall. So that means it's not thick. And then studs go through it. Actually, it wouldn't be studs, it would be the beams for the subfloor and the floor. They go through. It's not a true firewall. But they opened up the floorboards and the wood floor, and they somehow put a hose in there to blow through the vents. So the heat from their place would go through our floor, actually be our subfloor, and our floor and blow up into our apartment. I kid you not. I actually did some tracing with steam and smoke and found out that's what they were doing. And but anyway, I know it wasn't our vents and our ductwork because I cleaned them myself. Very difficult when you have, 50-year-old ductwork inside of a subfloor, but it just takes a lot of patience and wear gloves because the old ductwork will cut you like a scalpel. Wear gloves. But, and it continues where we are now. The people that lived there before, they are very racial. They're part of a racial extremist group. They used to roast us out, and they moved out about 6 months ago. Actually, they didn't move out. They moved to another section of the complex. I still see them from time to time. But they used to roast us. They would jack their heat up underneath us up to, it would have to be 75 because we would be at 71. And there's about I think they said about a 3-foot gap between the apartments, small enough for a very small person to crawl in, very small, to crawl in and work on, electric wires, work on pipes, very small crawl space. And some people may laugh, but I've seen the bottom of the floor. If somebody jumps up and down, you can feel it move like a trampoline. It's not a true subfloor. And the guys corroborated that when maintenance have told me, we have drywall on top of plywood and OSB, and then there's beams underneath that. So, it makes sense. That's the very definition of a crawl space. But that's also why we can feel it when people hit the floor. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's done underneath, if somebody's in the crawl space or if there's gaps. I don't know that. They did say that. They didn't say it's pervasive throughout our whole our floor. They didn't say that. And I know part of it couldn't be because stairways, because there's a patio, and we would have to have walls and stuff. So it's probably maybe tunneling, maybe. Because sometimes we can feel the people underneath us hit the floor with the stick. I mean, it could be somebody in there. I mean, it could be. Small person could go in there. I've had at least 3 different maintenance people tell us that. A big guy like me, no. Somebody, anybody over 5'4", 5'6", no, you're not going to make it in there. Anybody who's broad-chested or tall or chubby can't go in there. It has to be somebody small frame, less 100, 150 pounds, under 5'5", under 5'4", 5'5", can go in there and move comfortably. Or even sleep in there. It's not unknown for those, I forget what they call them, rafters or rafter jackers, or there's some name that they call these people that they'll break into a house or they'll get let in and then they stay in the attic or crawl spaces. I forgot there's a name for them. There's actually people who do this and they make a YouTube channel off of it. It's a crime. It's crossing boundaries. It's criminal behavior. It's predatory behavior. But anyway, so people will, they'll jack up their heat down there. The people from before, and then maintenance used it for woodworking, and from time to time they would jack up the heat. And since I discovered that there moved some more people in the building, can I blame the front office? Yes, I can. At this point, because it's becoming a pattern. It's becoming a pattern. People who have predatory personalities, people who screw with my daughter and I and target us, they keep moving into our building or around us. It keeps happening. So yes, I can blame the front office. And the fact that some of the people who live our building work in the VA, that's even more suspicious. All the stuff that's been happening with my letters from the intake center, from the hacking of my claim on the website. Now people, since I discovered this person, because I actually saw her at work, somebody canceling my appointments, and I made the appointment for physical therapy for every appointment that I've had to miss. Somebody went in the system and canceled one, and it made me get kicked out of physical therapy. Because if you miss or you don't reschedule an appointment, they will cancel your entire program. This happened within 3 days of me gathering enough evidence and eyewitness accounts, including myself as one of the witnesses, that somebody in my building works at the VA. Then boom, this happened, and I got the letter in the mail and notification in the My Health Vet, that my physical therapy was canceled for missing an appointment. And I got a notice from them, from a different department. They said, "Oh, did you know one of your physical therapies that you just made was canceled?" Somebody went in and canceled it. I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then 3 days later, I had the letter in the mail. And they said, "We can't make one. You're going to have to go there when they're open." Like I said, a day or two after that, it was already too late. So I find that very interesting. I got 3 physical therapy out of 10. No, 4 out of 10. And it was focusing on my neck too. The most dangerous of my medical issues. So, that being said, back to the jacking up of the heat. In the time we've been here, at our current place, it's quite a while. And I calculated, now that I know exactly how much energy and gas we use, it varies from 100 to 120. And people who know me, they know that I count my cubic meters of gas, I count my kilowatts. I project everything because I want to know how much I'm going to spend, especially now because people are messing with our finances for 8 years. Anything they can do. So, and again, I have evidence of this. I don't say things based on fear or on some ridiculous accusation of paranoia. I base things on evidence. I am somebody that is resistant to emotional crippling. I am somebody who people have called me one no-nonsense mother freaker. That's what I've been called, and that describes me perfectly. I plan as much as I can. Even entertainment budgeting, when we had one. Everything. So they know one way to target my daughter and I financially is to jack up the heat. They're like, oh yeah, it'll tick him off too. That way he'll call the front office, he'll complain, they'll get into a fight with him because they don't like him either. And then everybody will have all their laughs. They will jack up your heat. Neighbors who are maybe targeting you or they want you to force you out. I've lived in a complex before. We lived in one where they wanted all the white people out. And anybody that's supporting Israel, they wanted them out. The white people thing, well, that's self-explanatory. People supporting Israel, the only thing I can think of is maybe Hebrew Israelites who were deported. They tend to get rather anti-Semitic, even more than some of them are regularly. They get more anti-Semitic. So they see an Israeli flag or they see somebody saying, I support Israel, as a bumper sticker or a pin. Or I told one person, they saw that I was wearing light blue clothes and I had like a little flag type thing on my backpack. America, Israel, only it was on a backpack. It's a very common pin. And I had some lady say to me, oh, those colors are not welcome here. And she was so aggressive, she said it. She yelled it across the courtyard. So she got good eyesight, but she was looking right at me when she said it. So, that being said, again, another complex that I lived at, they wanted, they weren't so much focused on, some of them hated white people, but the biggest thing they wanted there was to have their entire family in the building. I don't know what kind of stuff they were into, but there seemed to be some kind of wife swapping thing going on. But they wanted us out. They wanted to have like 4 apartments all in a row that were all their family or people that were involved in this with them. I don't know if they were Hebrew Israelites or they were swingers. Because sometimes both of those things are true. But I just know what I saw and that they targeted us. But it was deeper than that. But that was certainly one of the things. But they weren't as successful at making us spend money as they are here. Because here a lot of our windows we can't open. We're surrounded by smokers. And some of the windows I keep opening them, they're going to fall off the track. So they jack up the heat. And in the time that we've been here, we've lost around $1,500. I sat down one afternoon. I like to do these as games. Just calculate gains and losses. I'm no financial guru. It's just a hobby. I've been following the markets and even the tracks since high school. It's just something I like to do. And, just like the 50-some thousand that I lost smoking from 16 until 7 years ago, it's around 50 grand I spent on smoking habit. That alone makes you want to cough and puke. That's a lot of money to waste on something that's actually harmful and wasteful. But we've lost 1,500 from people jacking up the heat. Based on my calculations and what I know that we spend. That's a lot of money too. It's a lot of money. And apparently it's starting again. This is like the third day now. Second or third day of somebody jacking up the heat. So it gets to 70 or 71 in our place, and we have to leave our air conditioning on all day. Now you may say, oh, it's getting warmer outside. Actually, the ambient temperature is below 65 outside. And we are surrounded by about, I would say the width of the forest around us is probably about a good mile. Our entire complex is surrounded by a forest that's about a mile circular, a mile, and probably, I would say, about 500 yards wide. So think about a strip of a mile and 500 yards wide. We're surrounded by that, and it's all converted wetlands. It's wetlands that have been developed, I guess you would say, and we're at groundwater level. Meaning, if I dig, get more than 3 or 4 inches down, I'll hit water, and that's surrounding the entire complex. And actually, in the complex, we have a lot of flooding problems around here and pooling of water because we're at groundwater level. So it's just another way that people can mess with your money. Now in Michigan, they don't have protections for this, but in large cities like Chicago, LA, New York, New Jersey, let's see, I only know the places that I've been. Honolulu, there's of course, it's not really a heat issue in Honolulu. Maybe a month out of the year it falls below 70. But there's legal protections in a lot of places for people doing this. It's called sweating you out. And it's just another way that people target people financially, because they know in the long run people don't want to spend this kind of money. 1,500 in 2 or 3 years, that's a lot of money. That's why we're at, our sum total that we've lost since we came to this Tri-County area, $46,900. Keeps going up every time they destroy something, hack something, or enter the house and take something. $46,900. And I'm not going to go into the list of the companies that I hold accountable, but I will say the city of Saginaw, they've ignored it. Let's see. Saginaw Township police officers have a knowledge of it. Buena Vista Township police officers have knowledge of it. The city council has knowledge of it. The prosecutor has knowledge of it. Let's see, who else? MDHHS Saginaw has knowledge of it. I served a Morley group of companies because when I worked there, some of their people were actually targeting my family and I while I worked there. And there, they were spreading it on the Morley network, trying to humiliate my youngest daughter's mother and myself. Let's see, who else knows about it? Michigan Works knows about it. The Attorney General knows about it, and the Michigan State Police know about it because I had to inform them about my identity theft. The IRS knows about it because somebody filed a fraudulent tax return in my name. Let's see. Michigan Department of Unemployment knows about it because when I first left my last long-term job, I was denied unemployment, and the guy told me, you can appeal, but I'm telling you right now, I'm the one that looks at the appeals. It's going to be denied. And then come to find out, 3 years later, when I'm going through my account with them and with the state of Michigan, somebody drew it. It wasn't me. Somebody drew that money over, was it three or 4,000? $3,000 to $5,000. Somebody drew it. It wasn't me. But anyway, I'm getting away from digressing. Anyway, this is a way that people will target you by jacking up their heat and bankrupting you. And even if you quote from your lease about people doing disruptive things, against community standards, people will say, oh, it's their right to have the temperature however they want. That may be true, but there's also a consideration of if you're jacking up your heat, that's a 20 or 30,000 BTU furnace, and you're jacking it up to 80 or 90 degrees and leaving it on all day, that's a fire hazard. In a building that's largely plaster and drywall and wood, that's a fire hazard. Acrylic carpet, fire hazard. Wood molding over almost every room has tons of mold, tons of wood molding that's lacquered, fire hazard. Your utility closet that holds your furnace has no heat shielding, fire hazard. I think that's enough said. So, there is a certain, amount of concern that's being gaslit in a situation like this, because it's a fire hazard. And also, everybody deserves rights, not just the people that are part of, whatever they're part of, to target a family or whatever, their political persuasion or religious persuasion or whatever extremist group they're part of. They're not the only ones with rights in this country.